kind of killed this. You got so many people in so many micro scenes.
Right.
Fortnite, everybody I know is playing this game. Everybody I know is invested in it. I got my buddy actually texting me. He goes, "Are you playing in this?" I said, "No, I'm casting." And he's like, "Well, how's Nick Merckx doing?" Everybody across the whole board from every scene is getting involved in Fortnite. It's wonderful. Man. Now's the time to get involved in it if you ever wanted to be a competitive player. And if you want to be a caster, don't let your dreams die.
Absolutely not, of course. Fortnite considered to be the melting pot of esports, at least for the time being. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Winners, finals, FaZe. Tfue and Cloakzy facing off against the other TSM brethren and Myth and Hamlinz. I imagine the reason why we're having internet issues is probably due to the rage that Daquan and Camille's probably had. Probably ripped out the Ethernet a little bit probably after that loss.
He set up with his mind. That was crazy. I was like, whoa.
Oh, man. But regarding the landing spots, Taylor, any surprises that we're taking note of off the break here?
I'm glad to see FaZe going back to their original home of Risky. Of course, they're going to be landing on those houses just on the outside and push in to pick up some remaining frags. But, of course, Myth and Hamlinz going against the grain. They're going to be heading over towards Pleasant Park, which is an area we have seen them go to in the past. But at least for this tournament, we haven't seen it as of yet. We'll see how these two contrasting styles are going to work out. You do see, though, on the bottom left screen, Cloakzy did spot a couple of players at least coming for that landing, so they might have some company soon.
And I want to give a quick shout-out to Fortnite Competitive, and along with that, Getaboo's user on there has been helping us out a lot with the stats throughout this week. Actually, a stat to be keeping note of. TSM versus FaZe competitive-wise, right? We talked about Myth and Hamlinz, also with Daquan and Camille's. In total, 6-5 is what right now FaZe has the advantage over TSM competitive. So right now FaZe has the advantage. This is an opportunity for Myth and Hamlinz to even up that overall kind of rivalry that we see in Friday Fortnite at 6-6. But of course, getting back on talk with the landing zones, it is a little bit interesting, right, that we see the risky reels drop come through from Tfue and Cloakzy. One thing to keep note of though is both teams on the total opposite side of the map from one another. So we talk about RNG, we talk about the landing zones. One team is about to get blessed, and one team probably is about to get a little bit ruined here when it comes down to the setups. Question being, who is it going to come to? What's going to happen regarding it? And who can find the initial frags off the break?
And right off the bat, we saw Hamlinz taking some damage. Tfue in a close engagement himself. We'll spot the player, gets the quick elimination as Myth is lighting up the scoreboard too, as he's going to find a frag himself, both finding and being blessed with the inventory as we see a gold scar in the hands of Tfue off the rip. Of course, you talk about Streamerly, that's what you want, but Cloakzy is in fact getting lit up. He's going to have to retreat, and his inventory is not looking as good as Tfue. He only has
solid common revolver there. It's
common
1776
revolver.
where he's from, Taylor. Haven't seen guns like that since the Patriot was a relevant movie, so just throw that out there here. We got the Blues though in the pocket. Tommy gun followed by that tack shotty. 8 C4s for Myth. He might just go destroy all of Pleasant Park for the fun of it.
Yeah, and he'd probably do that with half of his inventory. The C4 are absolutely insane, but it looks like for the time being, Hamlinz making the rush in the bottom right of our screen right now. Of course, has the few weapons in his inventory, of course, most notably that scoped AR, of course, the rare version of that, as it looks like a few kills possible. They have an idea as to where this next squad is going to be at, but no mats actually, unfortunately, for Myth. So he's like, you know what, I'm going to rock the remote explosives. The C4 is what I find interesting in this particular situation. Blows the entire place to bits, and that's when the players start to get revealed. These guys should be done for in a matter of moments here, Taylor.
And I was a bit worried for this push from Myth. He had no mats and actually runs out of them again. He's going to bring down the second house. We talked about him clearing out Pleasant Park, and he's doing just that, but wisely so, as he does have a player who's going to be sneaking his way, and I believe he was just behind the last remaining walls, and yes, he is peekaboo, as Myth is going to find him and takes him out.
Oh, 517, you can't hide. At that point, you got a challenge, but he did have a purple scar on his body, just giving those extra goodies here to the TSM boys. Of course, 4 kills now combined for them, but it looks like FaZe is keeping up as well. We see their standard risky drop, which I'm not going to lie to you guys, every time I go risky, somebody comes out of that house with a shotgun while I'm sitting there with a common pistol from 3 feet away and just absolutely decimates me. So the fact they play so well out of here, of course, we see that rotation over to Tomato Town as well through Wailing Woods, collecting all of that beautiful wood and mats. Just smart players in general. They usually do not stray away from their game. I think that's what makes FaZe such an impactful team, is that they just say, hey, man, listen, you guys are going to play your game. That's great. We're going to continue to play our game every single time. Why do you think we win so much? We don't succumb to pressure.
That's absolutely true. And one thing, too, that we can obviously talk about when it comes to risky reels, it's not super far away from Tomato Town. We also talk about Wailing Woods. The amount of resources that you can get if you're a FaZe clan, who obviously prefer that quite a bit of the time. Both of our teams, of course, collectively, are all about those resources, the building, the advantage that you get when it comes into having high ground advantage. The ability to have those resources in your back pocket is super, super influential. So I think that's one nice little thing that the FaZe boys can kind of rely on, is the amount of trees that they have, the amount of utility that they have in their process, of course, of trying to get closer and closer toward that zone. But of course, as soon as I start to talk about the resources for FaZe clan, we also got to keep in mind for Tfue and Cloaksy, right? Or excuse me, for Myth and Hamlinz, right? They also have quite a bit of trees as well on their rotation toward either Loot Lake or Tilted Towers, based off the bus's location, guys. I mean, it was right over Tilted for the most part. So this is going to be a great opportunity for Myth and Hamlinz. If they don't die early, which has been an issue for them a majority of the time, but if they can find some good kills here into Tilted Towers, much like their other TSM squad, they could be finding themselves with a pretty decent lead heading into map number 2.
Yeah, we'll see Myth and Hamlinz. They're going to be heading over towards Tilted, whereas we're going to see the FaZe boys. They're going to have to go through Tomato. Then it's going to get a little bit quiet where they can rotate through Dusty or Retail, depending on which direction that they would like to go. So obviously a lot of potential there in terms of rotations, but I think at least right now we're talking about mid-game. Actually, it's getting pretty late game as the kills have been dropping relatively fast, only 30 engagements remaining. We might see Myth and Hamlinz heat up a little bit, but once Tilted drops out, FaZe boys might have that comeback, especially because we'll see them now in a fight themselves as they are nearing their way over towards Dusty. And you just saw that submachine gun in the hands of Tfue mowing the player, lasering down. Of course, Cloaksy will finish him off. And again, as we see Cloaksy again picking up yet another elimination. Cloaksy, that player that you always harp on, Landon, such a great player to have, at least in your arsenal. And he is, in fact, doing so great. 3 and 3 for FaZe, as we're seeing now, a total of 6 and 4 on the right for Myth and Hamlinz. But like I said, though, it's going to slow down a little bit for FaZe. Myth and Hamlinz going to heat up a little bit over in this Tilted area.
And you saw that gold scar in the back pocket of Tfue. Still decides to use that purple tack submachine gun. Pops that guy. You got Cloaksy, of course, coming around to also get the assist. And, of course, they're looking to get these stragglers coming out here on top underground from the Tomato area. That's one of those areas where if you get trapped, usually you're in between 2 or 3 teams here. You got Tomato, the stragglers coming from Risky, which in this case are Tfue and Cloaksy, made their way towards Dusty Divot. And now you've got Myth and Hamlinz in Tilted Towers just looking to get some kills. They realize not too many players alive left in this lobby. It's been a relatively quick game, not necessarily from these squads. You're only going to see a combined, roughly 11 kills out of them all total. Every kill is going to count. Game 2 is actually going to seem to matter the most here unless one of these groups is going to be able to get a lot of kills. And hopefully it's just going to be able to try to consolidate your opponents.
Absolutely. And it looks like at the time being Myth very, very low on HP. Happens to be in the flank right now. And with no mats to his name. And unfortunately he can't put up the walls. And he could be as good as done. And yes, he will get thirsted. And now it is left up to Hamlinz in a very sketchy situation. A structure just above him realizes, hey, I'm not going to find high ground anytime soon. And right now, if you're Hamlinz, right, the game essentially is in your hands. A very big deficit when it comes down to the overall scheme of this series regarding what could happen in map number 2. And the advantage that FaZe has with still 24 engagements still left up. If you're Hamlinz, I mean, you really can't do anything but this play, especially with the fact that you don't have any resources regarding the factor of shields, regarding the factor of bandages as well. Nothing to really hold on to. And we talk about how this is such a big moment for TSM, but yet again, Taylor, their issues with dying early have been so evident tournament to tournament. A lot of their losses have come from this exact reason, and they go Tilted Towers, doesn't work out in their favor, and with FaZe, right, they don't make their way into Tilted. They kind of have the slow transitional play, and it works out for them very, very well. Granted, not in the best situation when it comes down to the zone, which can play a little bit nicer, but they can afford it, because why? They're in the 2v1.
Yeah, you know, it was looking so good for TSM, but just getting dropped like that hurts so much. And we've seen this so many times in Friday Fortnite where they start getting heated up and they're going back and forth, but then you see that Tilted just ruin the tournament lives. Of course, Hamlin's still alive, so damage controls could still occur, but one thing is going to be inevitable. FaZe will go into the second game with a considerable lead, especially if Hamlinz gets dropped overall, because it looks like, you know what, Risky, you know, that's an area they've preferred throughout our tournaments. So, you know, Hamlinz is in fact going to go down, and now it's just going to be all extra credit points for the FaZe boys. This is where they thrive. Now the pressure is off. They can just comfortably rotate through, pick up the easy kills. At this point now they're just playing just a regular game overall, and they've got to be feeling good. But if you're TSM fans, including myself, you have to be worried for them. Game 2 is going to be rough, but then again, you know, that last game we saw a 15-kill deficit for FaZe going into it against Daquan and Camille's, and of course, FaZe made that comeback possible. We could see the same thing happen here for the TSM boys of Myth and Hamlinz, but FaZe is not the team you want to be against, especially going in with a deficit.
It's also a team that you want to die early to. I think it's fair to say.
Well, Hamlin's in that situation. I mean, he's listening for game sound there to try to spot. So he hears those guys, his opponent's getting shot at, peeks out. Unfortunately, there's just 2 of them there. He made it just
Llamas
to miss
in
the first
chat,
shot.
please?
It's the second. Llamas in chat all day. I want some more Port-a-Fort action. Let's get some sky bridges in here, FaZe. Why not? Let's make it rain.
And the scary thing is that they could just do that easily. Tifu's like, yeah, I'm gonna show you guys up my building skills really quickly. As it's not necessarily the most difficult build in the world. I think for me that would be kind of a problematic situation. But these guys, man, they make it look easy. I've been watching the playground, and they have just absolutely been murking every single team. So, of course, they're going to make that structure 3 wide, so it's a lot more difficult to take down these things. And I believe what they're going to do is I think they're either going to rock the bounce trap into the bounce pad, which propels you even farther, a little bit of an advantage. And so, of course, with a massive place to travel toward, they've got to obviously use as much utility as they can. And looks like they're loading in from the battle bus by how high they actually got up in the air.
That's the coolest thing I've seen in a long time.
I thought they were just trying to go for their battle pass and get some more rings with that distance, that height that they had. I mean, that is absolutely insane. I love the creativity we see from these pros, and I love watching these Friday Fortnites because I get to develop these skills myself as I get to play more. And hello, there's a player there trying to destroy the rep, doesn't know how to edit through it, so is trying to pickaxe it.
That's the one that actually killed Hamlinz as well.
Was it really?
Yeah, that was the 2 that killed Hamlinz.
That is disappointing, especially after you just saw that phenomenal play from that player. But
yeah, an absolute beast. Teammates coming back says, Ralph, where did you go? Why weren't you pushing with us? We already had the bridge and everything built. Meanwhile, you're going to get killed by that guy? Come on.
Oh, man.
Come on, Wonder Woman.
Oh,
Boogie
Tifu's
bomb.
dancing, baby. Oh, man.
How dangerous is this going to be? Can't build, but luckily not able to capitalize whoever threw that. And, of course, he's going to get that high ground, but does take a massive hit from the right.
That's probably the Wonder Woman I thought it was.
Okay.
Oh, trying to bounce and drop away. Can he stay alive?
Yes,
and my goodness. Somehow Tifu manages to escape out of that fight. Thankfully, has the campfire to sit around, but not for much longer, right? Trying to put up as many walls as he possibly can, rocks the pyramid above his structure, and really is relying on, hopefully, Cloaksy to go big. Of course, in our bottom right of our screen right now, trying to find as many kills as he possibly can, and it looks like still trying to seek out, trying to find as many kills as he possibly can, going from the flank side, and looks like he will take down yet again another player, but Tifu giving out the call out to Cloaksy, saying, hey, the storm is right on our backside. We have to be very, very careful with what players are still up and around. It looks like for the time being, a nice little play, rocking the impulse to get a little bit of a height advantage as Tifu.
Well, that was
and he might live to see another day here.
That was a tier 1 daddy play right there. I don't even know how to feel about that. I mean, at that point, you just impulsed and built yourself up to keep yourself alive. I've seen a lot of impulse plays, but that just seems like a very common one that I feel like more people should probably utilize, right? To try to stay alive. 7 kills out of him. 10 now out of Cloaksy. They do it again.
Jeez.
They definitely do, and obviously they just overcame that spot where we saw Hamlinz and Myth drop, and they did it considerably well. Still, more engagements remaining as we see 9, as they've got to push in just a little bit, but they made their way out of the storm and made their way out of a huge team fight. And Tilted looking incredibly strong going into game number 2, already with a 13 frag lead overall, and they see more players building straight ahead of them at 180. So we see Cloaksy, he's going to go ahead and backtrack along with Tifu to try and get this high ground over this team they knew that was building up. And Tifu looks like he'll probably be the first one to engage on this team. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how he's going to be able to meet up with them. I'm kind of curious to see if he's going to have the drop on him overall, as he does look like he will be on the back of them. It's actually, they did in fact dip out, so he's not going to be able to spot him just yet. But still, though, the fact that they were able to find at least this many engagements is showing that their lead is going to continue.
You got to love this. I mean, Tifu looks back behind where this build is just to make sure he's not going to get pinched off this push. Waits for his teammate Cloaksy to be able to push up with him. And now, smart play here. He did double check, so now he knows they're actually going to be caught between 2 teams, so there's going to be multiple engagements here. Literally going to be the last remaining, probably all the squads remaining, actually, unless there's that one straggler hiding, which will inevitably die in a not-so-peaceful way if the FaZe guys actually do catch up with them. These bounce pad plays, I'm seeing it with the C4. Is he going to knock his teammate down? Why not? Look at the clutch.
Wow.
Actually navigates to where he doesn't knock his teammate. Knocks one, 498. Not having a good day. Spots another player. He's only got 44 HP in the back pocket. Let's see if he falcons on him. We all know the Eagle's a new emote, so let's see if he drops that on him.
Oh my gosh, what just happened?
I've never heard something more intimidating in my life as the opposition literally drops to their feet in just overall worriedness as it looks like FaZe will yet again see another day. Not many people left alive as me and Taylor are
You're welcome, Taylor.
We are struggling just to even say words right now.
You're welcome for that. It's that new, it's that eagle emote. You know what I want to see actually implemented in this game are stationary gliders set up on high positions that you can actually use to get away.
Oh, like a zip line.
amazing.
Yeah, like a zip line would be sick.
That'd be interesting.
That'd be cool, actually, especially to snipe someone off of that. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, because they're running in a straight line down a zip line and you're just waiting at the base.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Oh, jeez.
Ready to
Just
put
straight
one pump 'em in
into
the
you.
face.
Anything could happen. Here
Anything
in
definitely
Fortnite.
could happen in
Ooh,
Fortnite.
2 players remaining, and watch as we
Jeez,
get
these
this little
pop
pop head
shots.
glitch shot here
Yeah.
from Tfue. Known pretty much is
This is
this
disgusting.
coining. This is his, right? I mean, look at this. He's just gonna drop down. He's gonna build. I don't even know what he just did. Honestly, I was just saying it
That's
was
a great way to
multiple
say it.
walls and then a floor. I mean,
And, that's
sign
what I
my
love right
chest,
there.
Tfue. What's happening out here?
Cloaksy 2 times in a row has had ultimate, like, just whatever that Tfue needs, he's got it for him in the back pocket. I think he gave him a med kit,
Yep.
two minis heading into the last fight after Tfue managed to stay alive in this situation. Hey, man, I got you a chug. Don't worry, pal. Go ahead and stay alive. Stay back in the fight. Fantastic plays coming in from Cloaksy to have that utility at his hands. That's all came through the amount of frags that he's obviously gotten is how you get that utility.
Two
Up to
solos.
12. Up to 12 kills in total right now is Cloaksy, finding a bunch of solo players, make it 13, as it's going to be a very, very scary deficit. If you're a TSM fan, FaZe might be taking out the entire squadron, the entire competitive team in a matter of 2 series.
Yeah, and you saw the danger, the detriment, the damage they were able
Did
to
you
cause.
just alliterate my mind?
I did, in fact. You saw the detriment, the damage they were able. Just about to get
I can't even.
I'm telling you, it's a lot. The headphones, the hat, keeping the brain intact. But you saw.
If I take it off, I die.
Myth and Hamlinz in Tilted, they go down with just 23 engagements remaining. You saw how much damage FaZe was able to come through with in the end, as now they're going to have a 19 frag lead going into game number 2.
Shout
and
out
at
to my
this
Twitter.
point,
I'm Reflections.
Reflections over there landing here. Hello and welcome as you're seeing us coming into the action. Of course, though, TSM has a lot of ground to cover, and going against FaZe, it's going to be tough. We'll probably see another risky drop potentially, but it all depends on the bus route. TSM, Myth and Hamlinz, typically they don't split up from each other. Obviously, they're very capable individuals to be able to do so. Do they do that now in the second game?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of questions, and I'm sure all those questions were definitely going through Myth and Hamlinz's mind as they, kind of stood at the death screen for as long as they did, just waiting to see what really was going to come of it. What deficit are we really going to have heading into this game number 2? But I would say for TSM, one issue that we've seen from them is, like I said, dying early, not being alive to the victory royale, not being alive toward the end. And I think it's fair to say when it comes into Friday Fortnite, especially, the amount of players that are alive, the least amount of players that are alive, the higher opportunity that you have to take them out. Because once the zone starts to get smaller, that 20 turns into probably a guaranteed 80% of them you're going to see. The original 100, right? It really doesn't matter too much. But the massive thing is staying alive toward the end to find a massive chunk of those kills, which happens to find usually, and what I like to call it, the final 30.
And that's what FaZe is so good at. Like, we see them pretty even stale. You'll see them right around the 30-40 mark. You get down to the bottom 25 players, and they are literally probably dropping at least 60 to 70% of those every single time. And I don't know if it's just that they rotate differently or what it is, but it seems like every route they take seems to be the correct one to finding the most populated areas. Like you say, as that circle gets smaller, there's a better chance that you're going to be able to find all of these players remaining. Doesn't really matter in the beginning. Tfue and Cloaksy, though, pretty much the kings so far of being able to finish out those last 20 when that circle gets smaller, Landon. I'm excited to see where everyone's going to drop here today.
Absolutely, man. Of course, speaking of circles, going through the rings potentially to try to earn a few of those challenges as we do digress, see exactly what the plays are. It looks like a split coming through from TSM, which unfortunately is a play they have to make here, Taylor. It looks like Hamlinz going toward Retail Row, Myth bending to go toward Tilted Towers. Oh, man, back-to-back, 1v4 squads, a situation like this down the way that they are. Any engagement could literally be their last, and we'll see how long they can survive.
No.
Oh, my gosh. Myth jumped off the top of an 8-story building, has 23, 37 HP, not a whole lot to his name, and he could die right here.
No guns.
Right now. Has a, pistol
no guns,
in his
no
back
mats.
pocket? No mats, as Legion
No
says.
bullets either.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness. nothing to work off of but a few bandages.
Oh, what you talk about, the boldest aggressive push you could potentially make, and this could spell disaster for Myth. He did have bandages, but he doesn't have any bullets. Now he's got to find another weapon, and of course we know every building in Tilted is going to be occupied, especially from all those players landing there. So now Hamlinz himself, I mean, he's managed to find some frags, but he's going to be in a couple of battles as well, where we're seeing FaZe. They're going to be at Shifty. They're just chilling at this point, pulling the Ninja Hysteria kind of momentum there. They're going to be pushing into Tilted after that, but Myth, he's choosing to dip out. He has to go to loot, potentially hit up Modern or even around there for the couple of other those warehouse buildings, but this is a huge momentum shift. Myth, that's a big break.
Yeah, that's a huge break if you're a FaZe fan. Absolutely. And that's such an unfortunate situation that kind of goes down. I'm not sure if he was immediately trying to go for the aggressiveness, or maybe, I know on those edges of the walls you can actually catch the window seal and not take as much fall damage, so I'm not sure if that was the play he was trying to accomplish or whatever it may be, but that has totally slowed the progression that TSM desperately needs to have in their favor. If you're a TSM fan, it's definitely looking a lot more scary, as this is the situation where, like I said, FaZe isn't supposed to be finding kills. This is where the slow portion of the game starts off, and this is where you can start to pad your lead, but not at all the case here. As like I said, a slow start for Myth. Thankfully, Hamlinz is finding some kills here and there inside the retail row, up to 4, but not having any support from his teammate.
You got to see, though, Hamlinz with that silent submachine gun, just the common, literally probably 120 meters away, manages to pop that guy off. It literally is a laser beam. We're seeing Hamlinz doing a great job here in retail, just trying to keep the dream alive, narrowing that deficit now to, I believe, 18, considering Tfue now has 3 total kills. So a lot of kills for them to try to come back with. They're basically going to have to eliminate half the lobby. But you see Myth knock another player, and of course it's going to be 2 in a row. And you know what he says? He's just going to give him a little dance right over their dead bodies. Just a full-on dance there.
And I guess a lot of damage control can still happen here as Myth. He can rotate back to Tilted if he wanted to. He manages to get lucky and find at least half a squad, or at least hopefully there's going to be more players pushing him and he'll be able to pick up the full squad eventually. But moving over to Tilted could be the advantage that he absolutely needs. But there's a lot of dangerous situations here. Of course, they have 6 total frags, but still being met with phases is 3, but that's still a 16 frag lead for the boys of phases. They're now going to be rotating through. They're going to have advantage of Tilted once they push over there. And we've seen how they can beam down, especially if they have the zoom in their inventory, but they don't. We do see a sniper, a bolt action in the hands of Cloaksy. So him being up on that hilltop, he might be able to get some snipes, as Tfue might push in on the bottom portion. May go get some extra kills himself. But still, though, Hamlinz not slowing down whatsoever. He has ran retail by himself. He's sitting at 7 frags, where Myth is finding it another engagement. So nothing short of engagement. You can only imagine if they didn't fall so early in the other game.
And another knock here from Myth as well. One thing we're seeing is pretty much good management in terms of not overextending on teams when you're pushing. Of course, this guy in the water obviously doesn't know that you can build a wall and potentially a ramp to stay alive. So luckily, Myth and them are finding some kills. And if we manage to see a comeback, it's going to be the second one of the day that's been insane on the team that had an insane comeback against the other half of TSM earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. But, of course, heading in toward Tilted Towers, this could literally seal the deal right now, of course, here for FaZe Clan, as they are diving in deep. Tfue making his way toward L's. It looks like it could be an opportunity for them to extend this lead to an ungodly manner. That's for certain, but take a look at this. Tfue taking a snipe in the backside, 24 HP. He was full on just about everything, and now it is absolutely the opposite. This could actually be a huge moment for TSM if Tfue was to fall here. Not going to be the situation as of right now, but a very scary spot. Tfue stays up, and they're looking pretty good now.
They definitely are. He managed to get a fireplace along with bandages to quickly put himself back up to the health that he needs to be at to make this push possible. I do believe Tfue maybe have spotted him, might have been able to get some damage on that player, as they're now going to go with the absolute send, pushing forward on top of this house on the left here as he'll build up, and nobody's going to be home, but I do believe there might be some players down below as Cloaksy's or Tfue's going to go ahead and push in on the opposite building. Myth and Hamlinz, though, look at where Myth is at. He's managed to push back from loot, and now he's going to take the bottom section of this house. Maybe he hears that player that, Cloaksy was pushing after. So we'll see if Myth is able to steal this frag. But if Myth is able to pester FaZe,
the trap!
Big. But the trap, as Myth goes down, he is fully eliminated. Now Hamlinz
so is his internet.
Is last alive.
Yeah, the new trap actually in the last update also shuts your internet off.
It pulls the Ethernet cord from the router.
Friday Fortnite tournament. Only.
Oh my gosh!
It's an agreement.
That is so unfortunate. Like talk about like truly like a frustrating moment for Myth in that spot. Nearly dying from fall damage off the break of this game, and then dying to a trap.
I just love that it goes straight to the internet dies and it goes straight to the sponsor logos. Like as soon as it happens, it's like when you remember the scene of Willy Wonka where the girl disappears down the goose egg chute.
We've had so many Willy Wonka.
I know, but just remember it. It's
today.
like that's the end of her. Like that's just what happens on occasion here in Friday Fortnite. You get obliterated by a trap and somebody hiding in the bottom of Taco. Is this the beginning of the game? What is that guy doing?
I have no
obviously
clue.
killing Myth.
And honestly, you could maybe argue, like with Myth kind of going into that bottom side as we see some nice shots coming in from Tfue. You could argue, right? Myth starts to enter in toward Tilted Towers. Those guys who probably are randoms are super scared because FaZe is firing down with a lot of force. They start to scatter. That maybe could be the reason why we see Myth fall is because of the trap play, the defensive plays, because they realize that FaZe, or at least a very talented squad, happens to be on their shoulders. But still, an unfortunate loss for Myth. An unfortunate loss, especially for Hamlinz now, because the deficit that he's at, he has played very, very well, gentlemen. Starting off at retail row, I think escaped with at least 5 or 6 kills, finding some transition ones in a Dusty Divot as well, up to 8 in total. Doing as much as he can, but I mean, it's almost like he can't play better than he is right now, and he has to if they want to stand a chance at getting in the grand finals. And at least to the winner's side, right?
That is true. I mean, how different this game would have been if Myth would have been able to stand up and stay up at least in Tilted and not drop down as aggressively as did. And, of course, he's probably has to be questioning himself, like, why did I make that aggressive push? He could have just went through the roof, kitted up a little bit more, and maybe been more conservative and came through a window on top of those players. And he was shooting down already at him. There was no reason to jump down, but you got to be like guessing to yourself, like, why would you make that push? And honestly, I think it was just pure instincts. I think he saw those players, knew he was down, at least 12 frags going into the second game, or 19 frags going into the second game, and he knew at that point he just had to go for it, and he absolutely did. Hamlinz, a great game, 8 frags, but at this point the game is getting away from them. FaZe still up, rotating through. Hamlinz is playing catch-up. I don't see them coming back.
You were talking about this earlier. Would we choose a grenade launcher or would we choose the C4? And so far I've seen every duo rocking the C4 over the grenade launcher. We saw him leave that right outside Tilted on the waterfall. Of course, he's got the 3 C4s in pocket. It's just such a good zoning weapon. It's such a good build destroyer. Why not hold it? Grenade launchers, you don't know really where your shot's going to land probably about 20% of the time, especially for shooting distance. Save those C4s, get into this, and we're going to see what he's got here. Oh, Tommy gun in the back pocket with the heavy shotgun. Probably one of the deadliest combos from mid-range.
It absolutely is, of course, recent addition to the game, and it looks like for right now, Hamlinz rocking it in full force. At least they are in that situation, but talk about HP loss, now down to 57 when it comes down to health. Thankfully, he has those shields in his arsenal, as it looks like, 3 big ones come through from Hamlinz, but not that it's all for nothing. Not a whole lot of eliminations left. He's doing the best he possibly can, but still, with a massive mountain to climb. I mean, if you're a TSM fan, if you're Hamlinz right now, thinking in his mind, he is praying that either Tfue or Cloaksy, if not one of them, both of them have to drop in order for this clutch to fully come in.
I just want to put this in perspective. Of course, FaZe now 31-19. That is a massive lead of what, 12? No, it's got to be, it's 12 frags, right?
Yes.
So 12 frags with a total of, like, what? 18 engagements, 19 engagements still remaining.
Yeah, it's looking grim.
It's looking very grim, but just to put it in perspective, if FaZe move on to the grand finals, they're guaranteed $7,000, which means in their Friday Fortnite history, they have won, or at least, or have the potential of earning $44,000 in their Friday Fortnite history. If they win first place, of course, that's an extra $47,000
I could get for $44,000.
A lot. And God,
I would literally be the coolest kid.
You know how many Kia Souls you could get for that?
Do you know how many iPod Nanos I could buy online, use, and string them all as a necklace or a belt buckle?
You know how many Eggo waffles you
coming
could buy
next
with
week?
that?
I think they should just donate the prize pools to Legion and honestly make this project happen.
Hamlinz has got another 2 here. 13. They're on that deficit now to 10. If he gets 10 out of the next 14, which apparently look at this guy Tfue sneaking up on here. Not looking too promising in this 1-by-1.
He's got C4
drop that C4 heat. Why do you keep that in the pocket? Because it's amazing.
Oh my!
And when you run into teams like this, he's just gonna He's gonna dome him with this. He's gonna dome him with it. Brings out the silent sub again. The blue one. Oh my gosh, so good. Just continues to build up that height advantage. So key here, of course, as we keep talking about that playground, making sure that all of our pro players continue to get better and better. And you said they're actually going to be bringing it back forever at some point, right?
Yeah, it's like it's a heavily. I think it's not like a rumor. I think it's actually official that at least the argument is being made that I think Playground is going to be back in full force and for good, which is exactly what everyone would like. Of course, a great opportunity to really enhance your skills, and that's what we've been talking about with the competitive players. A rocket to the face, and somehow we see 2 HP left on Tfue, thanking his good graces, nearly gets taken down. Oh my goodness, having to rock this medkit. And you could argue if Tfue drops, this is a fantastic spot for TSM. It's a fantastic position for Hamlinz to stay alive. However, the official medkit comes through from Tfue. And despite that happening, just like this, Hamlinz is taken down and say goodbye. Back-to-back series. Tfue, funny enough, ends up getting dropped as well. But in back-to-back games, FaZe have officially taken down the entirety of the pro Fortnite TSM squad in back-to-back series, and that is now 3 tournaments in a row that FaZe has booked their ticket into the grand finals.
Yes, it is.